Thanks. Yeah, my name's Nick. I'm an addict.
Hi, Nick.
I'm a nervous sharer, but I've got some experience of working this step, so I'd like to hopefully do it the justice it deserves. It's a really nice welcome I got here when I came here tonight. I saw some faces I haven't seen for a long time, some people I care deeply for, and it was really nice to sort of catch up and see people smiling. When I came into NA, it wasn't like that for me. I came in broken, like a lot of us do. I didn't feel like I was in like the place I was meant to be. I just had no options. I was mentally broken, physically broken. My home was still a crack house. I had 3 daughters I hadn't seen for 10 years. Everyone that was in my life at one point or another had gone. And I was just desperate for a different way to live. I didn't know quite how to get that. I just knew I couldn't go on the way I was going on. At one point I just thought ending it would be the only way out. Not that I wanted to die or commit suicide. I just could not see a life with or without drugs, like it says in our literature. I found my way in NA via a detox. I only did the one detox, but I was using for at least 25, 30 years. So I was broken and ready by the time I got to that detox. When I came in, I couldn't just sort of say, I'm clean now, so I'm going to get better. This is what I thought when I first came in, so I'll just put the drugs down. Eventually I'll start feeling all right and I can just get on with my life. Through that sort of 30 odd years of using, I've got further and further away from the person I should have been. I caused harms to everyone around me, including myself. I didn't even know how to sort of go out and pick clothes, didn't know how to look after myself, how to cook, nothing. I needed to learn everything from scratch. I listened to you guys, not because I thought you had something because my head was telling me at the time, it's not going to work for me. It's not going to look like you. None of you have been where I've been. You know, I'm more broken, but I don't need you. It's that kind of weird sort of thing. But I thought I'd just play the game, and everyone's saying, get a sponsor, get a sponsor, get a sponsor. And as luck would have it, I got myself the best person I could have done. It was very literature based, was rigid about working the steps and going through the literature, and that's what I really needed. And one of the first things he said to me was, don't try and make any amends, you don't know what you're doing. So I totally ignored that, and I tried to rekindle my relationship with my youngest daughter, and she didn't speak to me for the next 2 years. Because in my mind, I'm clean now, I've loved you all along, I'm ready to have you back in my life. And how self-centered is that, you know? No understanding of what she's been through. That poor girl was taken from me by armed police in the middle of the night. She was 5 years old. And when they kicked the door off and they're screaming, shouting and waving guns around and that, and you see her mum and dad taken off in handcuffs, she was terrified. And I couldn't even get to these supervised visits. And so that's the kind of damage I did to my children and anyone that came into my contact. I didn't want to. I wasn't a nasty person. It was I was an addict. It comes with the territory, and I just adapted to situations and justified them. You know, didn't see my kids for 10 years because they're better off without me. You know, not thought of what they must be going through. I've got 2 elder daughters. Their mum was run over and killed in a traffic accident. They were 9 and 10. They come looking for me. I hadn't seen them for a few years. They couldn't find me. I heard via my dad, he came to find me and he said their mum's died. I didn't even go and sort of turn up, not because I didn't care, but I couldn't even turn up and sort of see if they're all right, take them on, look after them, you know, none of that. It was just, they're with family, they're all right. I didn't even know what they were going through. So by the time I come into recovery, obviously, this was 10 years plus later, you know, and I hadn't had anything to do with them. So try and just turn up on their doorstep and saying, yeah, I'm back, I'm well, I'm your dad, I love you loads. It's you know, there's no sorry in the world that can repair that.
Yeah.
I had to do that work. You know, it says in that film, we've become entirely ready. Becoming entirely ready is not just getting clean. It's doing that work to become entirely ready, to actually see what you've put them through. That step 8 list, for example, by the time I was sort of like spiritually well enough to look at that list without that kind of biased mind, you know, where I could look at things in other people's, even people that had harmed me greatly, to look at how I affected them and discount what they've done to me. I couldn't have something on that list of, oh, yeah, he's a wanker, excuse my language, he's not a nice person. I'm not putting him on the list because he's done more harm than me. Now I had to sort of separate myself from them and say, what did I do? What do I need to change? Because that amends is about change. It's not about sorries. I'm not compiling a shopping list of sorries. There is no sorries that I can say to my kids that will repair that damage I've done to them. There is not a sorry. That will cause more harm. So I had to put myself in their shoes, which step 8 was the only step really that I found extremely painful. I really did. When I actually see the damage I'd done, especially to the people I loved, you know, and so I did it and I went through it. And the temptation is just to run round them all, sort of make appointments and say, you know, can I have a bit of your time? Yeah, I'm sorry I did that, blah, blah. It won't happen again, I'm clean. It was none of that. For me, it was more about becoming entirely ready to change, to behave differently, to own my behaviours. And I mean, I know my mum, she died. I was at her funeral when I was a year clean, and my sponsor at the time was saying to me, you should go to her grave and sort of like compile a letter and sort of like say your piece, say your sorries and whatever. I had big resentments with my mum. You know, she was one of us. She didn't actually use substances. She was the one that went down to doctors and hypochondriac and her behaviours, and you know, there was a lot of abuse, verbally, physically, mentally, but I still had to look at the damage I'd done her. It took me 5 years of becoming entirely ready to actually go to that grave. See, for me, if I'm not feeling it in my heart, turning up there and just rattling it off, you know, she was dead. You know, I could have done that. Yeah, keep my sponsor happy. That's done. Move on to the next one. But no, I'm not ready to let go of those resentments. I couldn't see. I saw my part, how I harmed her, but I wasn't ready to forgive her. 5 years later, I was actually driving past it to go to my daughter's, and the traffic stopped outside the cemetery, and it weren't moving. I thought, oh God, no, I'm not going in there. No. Eventually, I gave in, and I went in the cemetery, and it was off the cuff. I was ready at that point, and it was one of the most moving experiences I had in my recovery, when I actually realised how broken my mum was, how her behaviours, because she was the same as me, and now the behaviours that I was meeting on my kids, you know, that neglect and what have you, it's just, it really moved me. My youngest daughter, the one that didn't speak to me for 2 years, eventually she got in touch with me, and she, by that time I'd been through the work and I'd made the list, and I was following guidance from my sponsor, and he said, just send her a text every now and again, just to tell you thinking of you there for her, just to let her know that you're there for her. And 2 years later, she actually contacted me and she said that I'm having flashbacks and this, that and the other, and funny enough, my sponsor was on his honeymoon, and she was at university at this point, and I'm thinking, he's going to say, why didn't you phone me? But he's on his honeymoon. So I phoned him anyway. I thought, if you don't answer, you don't answer. I said to him, because he knew what I was going through, like trying to get in touch with my youngest daughter. And I said to him, I know you're on your honeymoon. I'm so sorry to bother you, but I thought, you know, this is it. And he just said one thing to me. He said, Nick, do you think I'd be on my honeymoon if I didn't do this stuff? So, and I went and done my amends, and I turned up there with the sorries and what have you, and she said that Dad, I was ready to say I love you, but I don't need you in my life, but I can see the change in you. And we rekindled a relationship from there. Like I say, she was at university, and about a year later, I was trying to be the best dad I could be. I didn't have a vehicle at the time. A year later, she said, Dad, can you come in? She was studying fine art. She said, Dad, can you come and help me hang my pictures in the gallery for my end of term display? And I said, yeah, of course I can. And the weekend came when I was meant to go down there, and there was a rail thing going on, engineering works. I had to get to Ipswich, and I think, geez, I better speed up, don't I? But so the off balance now. Yeah, there was rail work, so I thought, you know what, I've been a good dad for long enough now. Surely someone else can help me put the pictures up. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I remember back to that list. It says the list is never done. Yes, you can put extra people on as you harm people as you go along, but that list is that's in my brain now. I thought back to that list and I thought, I said that I'd be there for her. I'd never let you down again. And that's when I realised how you work that step 8 in your life. Is that ongoing amends is so important. My eldest 2 daughters, they were more forgiving. I came into recovery and they, don't worry, Dad, we're glad to have you in our lives. It's not what you're having a dad around. But I started working and I become too busy for meetings. I was going to meetings but falling asleep. I had a sponsor I wasn't ringing. I had a support network I wasn't listening to. And basically, work became more important than what we do here. And my dad died, and funny enough, it was his birthday today. But he died, and I thought to myself, made a conscious decision, he would just want me to crack on. And I worked like a lunatic, working so long hours, until my middle daughter said to me, Dad, I'm really worried about you. And I thought, they would never worry about me. That step 8 list come back in, and I put myself in their shoes. One of the things I promised I would never worry about me. So I then sort of put some boundaries in place around work, brought myself back into recovery, connected with my sponsor and took on his suggestions. And because I hadn't picked up a substance, I was able to bring myself back into the recovery process again. I'm cutting out loads of stuff. Loads of stuff I'd love to share, but bringing it right up to date. That same daughter, she's in an abusive relationship today. And I was round there a while back, and I see the results of it. And the old me would have wanted to get involved somehow, try and sort it out, get physical, not get physical. I'm not a violent person, but I'd have to try and get involved somehow and make it worse. So instead of doing that, I just spoke to my support network and I thought, you know what can I do? So I phoned her up and I said, to you and the boys, my 2 grandsons, if I was to pay for us to go away, do you fancy coming away? So next week I'm taking the boys fishing, and we go up to Bakewell, got a stone cottage, and just take them away to give her a bit of respite, just to give her a bit of space away from him. It's her decision, her relationship. And just to let her know that today I'm there for her. She's not on her own. I don't have to get involved. I just have to show her that she can come to me and ask me for what she needs. That same daughter said to me once, I was stood in her kitchen and she was just making a cup of tea and she just spun on the spot out of nowhere and she said, Dad, I can't remember what it's like not to have a dad. And when she said that, I nearly broke. It's just, for me, that showed me I'm doing something right today. And it's all thanks to this program, to you guys, to the guidance I got. If people see their step 8 and 9 different to me, this is the way I went through it with my sponsor. My understanding of it is different from him. He just guided me to my understanding. This is how I work it. I don't look at that step 8 list as a sorry shopping list. It's about a change. It's about me continually wanting to change myself. I never put myself on that list, but today, I suppose I have. I've added myself to the list years later because I did a lot of damage to myself physically. I didn't eat properly. I put needles in myself every day. You know, I didn't look after myself. I didn't look after my home. I had no sanitary, behaviour. Anyway, I didn't know how to look after myself. But today I try and eat a really healthy diet. I do exercise regular. I look after myself. I look after my surroundings. And this is all thanks to this program. If you're new and you're wondering what I'm going on about, get yourself a sponsor. Go through the work. Find your own experience. For me, step 8 and 9, I'll leave it on this because I'm running out of time. Step 8 and 9 is what was really giving me the keys to freedom, because it's enabled me to separate myself from all that guilt and shame and low self-worth that I came into recovery with. That kind of thought of how could I love my kids and leave them to go through what they've gone through? How could I do that? Today, I am the dad that I've always wanted to be. I've got grandsons that look up to me, they've never seen me use. And hopefully, God willing, they never will. Step 8 and 9, that ongoing amends. Keep desiring to change and be the better person. Get to who you're meant to be, not what this disease and what my head has told me I had to be. You know, and get your own experience. You know, as my sponsor said when I first came in, he said, don't pick up, do the work and things will change. And they have. My life's drastically different to what it was then. Much, much different. Better. I've got people around me that I care about, that care about me. I hold down a good job, I pay my bills, I look after my family, you know, and I try and help anyone I can. Thanks to this program. But I'll leave it there because I'm run out of time.
Thanks.
Thank you.